Can you hear me? What the hell is going on with my system? Can you hear me now? Yo, this is ridiculous. I don't know what's going on. You know what? It's probably streaming. All right, go ahead and hit it.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Nothing But Net, brought to you by the Sideline Junkies Podcast Network. We are taking you around the NBA in 30 minutes. We are giving you the point of view and the perspective of two old heads that just really enjoy some basketball. With that being said, I'm the Midnight Rider. This is my guy, C. Perry II. We are here to entertain you for the next 30 minutes, give you all the basketball talk, bring you up to date on the goings on in the NBA. C. Perry, I know you're having some difficulties. Can you hear me, brother? Unmute your mic. I can't do it from here. All right, while we try to figure that out because we're having some technical issues, let's just talk about what we always talk about, just the going on in the NBA right now. We had a big night. Big night last night, huge night. Big night in the NBA. We had some big ball games. Spurs, Celtics, highlighted by the return of Jayson Tatum. We got Bam Adebayo against the Wizards, and him dropping the second most points in NBA history. Those are just two things that we do in this Tuesday night spotlight that we have going on here tonight. With that being said, let's try to get through some of these technical issues and get things going. Let's see if we can get Perry unmuted real quick. It's not letting me do it. So, Perry, if you can try. All right, cool. He's going to log back in and figure that out. While he's doing that, let's go ahead and do what we always do around this time. And it's the Tuesday night spotlight. Tuesday night spotlight. And in the Tuesday night spotlight, we have the big event from last night. Bam Adebayo drops 83 points on the Wizards in a win over the Wizards. This is going to be an interesting game. This sparked a lot of controversy, sparked a lot of conversation. I know some people, the way this 83 happened, will have issues and will have problems with the way the 83 transpired. Other people will say, oh, for the sake of the game, because it was Kobe, maybe he should have stopped. Some arguments going to be, hey, he scored 83. It's the second most points all time. And then somewhere else in this argument is going to be the fact that this man shot 43 free throws in a night. And the team he was playing against only had 29. How we got to 83 may be the bigger question and maybe the bigger problem. So we're going to say all that and tell you how we feel and how we thought this went. So let's go through the stat line real quick for Bam Adebayo on this night. My man had 83 points, 20 of 43 from the field, 36 of 43 from free throw line, and then he was also 7 of 22 from three-point land. Now, this was a historical night. Again, like I said, we get into a place where we're number 2 all-time to Wilt Chamberlain and his great feat of having scored 100 points that night in Hershey, Pennsylvania. So with that being said, let me see if I can get my man to chime in. Let's see how his system is working right now.
Check, check, check. We good?
We good.
Okay, we'll see for how long. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, incredible night for Bam Adebayo.
All right, just lost you again. Did you hit something? Did you stop talking? I can hear the sound on your thing. I can hear your keyboard. I just can't hear you. Double check your mic real quick. There you go. See, I can hear you're moving around.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. All right. Let's see how long that's going to hold. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. Sometimes, when you go live, stuff happens when you go live. So, whoo, yeah, man, Bam hitting 83. You got a chance to check out the game, right?
I watched parts of it. So I watched up to a certain point and then I kind of checked out and just listened to a bunch of people talk about it. Because I thought personally, once he got to about 70 and they were up 20, I just knew that they were going to just take him out of the ball game and let it be. They were, because it was not a game in contention. It wasn't they weren't fighting for the lead. So I just figured, all right, you get to 70, let's call it a day. Let's put the kids in and let it go. I know you fronting your face up, but don't forget, Kobe had 64 against the Mavs. I think it was like 64 to 56 or whatever. And they didn't play him the fourth quarter. We've seen this situation before where guys don't play the fourth.
But we've also seen a situation. I watched the 81-point game against Toronto. Okay. And, he stayed in there and stayed engaged because a record was there or numbers were there. All right. He didn't get pulled. He was like, don't pull me. All right. I watched that game because the majority of those points, were against Jalen Rose. So yeah, um, I didn't see anything. I'll say this: I did not see anything wrong with the minute he hit 62 points. You want to go for the numbers? Go for the numbers.
Okay, then let me ask you this, because
you know what I'm saying. That's history. Regardless of how you got there. Mm-hmm.
I'm not okay. So I've been trying to fix this argument all day. He got 83. You can never take that away from him. There were some things done in the process of getting to that number that I'm not sure if I were a player or I was a coach on the other side, that I would have let transpire down the stretch. Because they said that and this is hearsay, so you watched it, but the story that's coming out was down the stretch, there were some intentional fouls to gain extra possessions, and there were some missed free throws to gain extra possessions. Now, if that's not the case, then I just got bad information.
Yeah. Missed free throws, no. Some intentional fouls on Washington's side so they can get the ball back. Yeah, there were some of those, down the stretch when he had already crossed 70 points.
Okay.
But he had a good, he had a good 62 playing his own. He got into 70 playing his own. Okay. The rest of it, yeah, were to pad those numbers and get to that number 81.
Okay. So I'm not going to sit here and
yeah. So it was, so.
No, I'm not going to hold a debate on the viability of the record, because the record is the record. People don't score 83 points just willy-nilly.
Exactly.
So I'm not here to poo-poo it or make it seem like,
exactly.
Go ahead.
Because he
Dang, you
had to
know.
get there. That's the whole thing. He had to get there. And that that first quarter was wow. Okay, hitting those 31 points in that first quarter. That was balling. That was him hitting the first 7 points for his team and keeping it up. Second, second quarter, getting to 42. That was still keeping up. That was still keeping up the pace. So yeah, I mean, look, when it's all said and done, he's in the record books. That's the thing. All right. Because 10, 20 years from now, ain't nobody gonna remember the cheap fouls. Ain't nobody gonna remember that. But they're gonna remember is Bam Adebayo had 83 points.
All
They're
right.
barely gonna remember that he took 43 free throws. But they're gonna
Well,
remember
no, there'll be some old
that he
person.
had 83 points.
There'll be some old person in the room that was either a Bam fan or a fan of old school basketball, and he'll be like, "Oh, he had 43 free throws." It'll be KG talking to the grandkids. Meatloaf will be in her 20s,
All right,
and
so
go ahead. All right, you out again. So Meatloaf will be in her 20s, having a conversation with her friends, and KG will be in the
yeah,
background talking about the 43
yeah.
and oh my gosh, it's a travesty and all this other stuff. And you're gonna get that Thursday tomorrow night when you check in with the Thursday night
Yeah,
throw
yeah.
game.
I can picture KG doing that for real. All right. He trust me. Mm.
Well, hey, here we go. You speak him up. Um, he said unimpressed. He said, "Give me a martini with 81 olives." He said, "I feel attacked," and then just laughing emojis. Hey man, just we just know how it's gonna roll out, man. As the group historian, we know how this is gonna play out and end up. So we just putting on what we know is gonna happen. Um, Go ahead. Let's finish your thought before I cut you off. I'm sorry.
Of course.
All right, so let's talk about just from your standpoint. You watched the game last night. You were able to enjoy it.
We know
Um,
you.
what were your takeaways from that whole thing? Now you on a bad delay. This is crazy. Um, hop out and hop back in
Hey,
again, Kim.
can you hear me?
Now I can. Yeah, well, this is crazy.
Historian or curmudgeon?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's a little bit of both.
You didn't
Because I
get me.
think in
I
order
was
to be an historian, you have to be a
going
curmudgeon.
to.
I hear you now. Yeah, this is crazy. So like I said, the 83 happened last night, second most in NBA history. So this is what we're gonna do. We got some technical difficulties going on. We're gonna do something different. We're gonna take a quick break here, try to regroup, try to get things together. Um, in this clip here, um, let's see. Let's just go with the brand, baby. Check out the brand. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Nothing But Net on the Sideline Junkies Podcast Network. I am your man, the Midnight Rider. We're still having some technical difficulties with our guy, C. Perry, but let's go ahead and talk about something that happened last night. It's one of the other big games on the docket. Last night, Wemby drops 39 on the Celtics um, to allow the Spurs to have their season sweep of the Boston Celtics. Uh, of course, this game is a little different because we had the return of one Jayson Tatum. I know he returned before this, but this is probably one of his first big games that he's involved in since this thing has happened. Um, with that being said, let's try to go through the stat line real quick um, from last night because this was one of the highlights of the night. So in this ball game, again, the Spurs 125, the Boston Celtics 116. In the box score, Jayson Tatum 24 points. He's been scoring ever since he's been back. That's been a good thing in this resurgence or this comeback. Is he's been scoring points like he hasn't missed a beat. Uh, Derek White drops 34. Ron Harper Jr. drops 22. On the other side, we got that's not Ron Harper Jr., is it? And why is it up there? Yep, Ron Harper Jr. All right. Wembyama scores 39. De'Aaron Fox 25. Actually, this Wembyama line is tough. It's 39 with 11 rebounds, 3 assists. De'Aaron Fox drops 25, 3 rebounds, 9 assists. Stephon Castle 18 points, 9 rebounds, and 6 assists. So we've been talking all season long about this Spurs team, how they're multi-layered talent-wise, how what they've done with their talent has allowed them to actually probably skip a step in the development and process. They struggled early on. They found some chemistry. They've hit a run, and now they're in a place where they're the number 2, and they're pushing Oklahoma. And if you've watched this show enough times and you've heard me say the things that I've said, and I'm going to say, one of those things that I'm going to say is I think they've sped up their timeline. They've made their timeline, they've moved it up a year from what it's supposed to be. And I think the biggest part of it is they're so athletically dynamic that it makes it hard for you not to pay attention to them. You have the alien playing like an alien. You have Castle giving you solid minutes. You got Vassell doing his thing. You got De'Aaron Fox playing back like when he was back in Sacramento, just being a force. And when you have those things in place and you have those opportunities, I think that changes everything. And for the only reason I'm not pounding the fact that they got the season sweep, I don't think Tatum was available for the first game. So I don't want to hit the season sweep like this is something that Boston has to worry about going forward. I think Boston will be just fine. I think Boston still has to figure out some of its dynamics chemistry wise because you don't have because you're just adding someone into the mix and you've played one style the whole time. Now he has to kind of fit in. And he's done a good job of fitting in. And that him being one Jayson Tatum. Tatum's been very influential. He tore his Achilles about 9 months ago, and on the path to recovery, um, he dealt with the obstacles, and I think he's a little bit ahead of schedule. I know for a fact on our other shows after he tore the Achilles, I know I told KG that I thought he wouldn't be back this season. I didn't think that Boston would be in contention enough to warrant him coming back and us figuring out, all right, it's been 9 months. Can he come back? Will he come back? I think that's just one of those situations where you have to figure it out and make it work. And I think what they've done is they supplemented and played more team basketball and built everything around Jaylen Brown. And then with Brown stepping up to the plate, I think he's just made it easier for Tatum to come in because they shared the basketball. He hasn't really been too ball dominant or shooting 30 shots a night. They get contributions from everywhere. They play a great brand of team basketball. Um, let's see. Let's look at Tatum's. He's been back for 3 games. Let's see. So first game, he dropped 15 points, 12 rebounds, and 7 assists. Next game, he jumped up the scoring to 20 points, 2 assists, 3 rebounds. Last night, he dropped 24 points, 2 assists, and 5 rebounds. So the numbers climbing. The minutes are climbing. Actually, no, the minutes are the same. They have him on a 27-minute construct or limit. So he's playing his 27 minutes a night. So right now, that 3-game average turns out to about 19.7 points a game, 3.7 assists per game. He's shooting about 29% from the floor and 39, dang near 40% from, I'm sorry, 29 from three, 40% from the floor. And we know those numbers are going to change no matter what because he's got to get his legs underneath him. And if you're a shooter, you understand that, he's playing 27 minutes. He hasn't been shooting with this intensity. You can't duplicate game speed in the workout. You can try your best, but you can't do it. It's just not going to happen. So there's a difference between game speed, as we always say, and game speed and practice speed. So that's the difference right now of what's going on. Let me see something here. So at this point, just with him coming back, you just got to figure it out and give him some time and see when he's going to get back. How long is it going to take him to get back to himself? And I don't think that person arrives, to be honest with you, nothing but that fans, until we get into the playoffs. We're probably going to have to get about 5 or 10 games into the playoffs before we see the real Jayson Tatum. And that's just because he has to get his sea legs underneath him. Because right now he's still playing off of those workout legs. And that's not going to make it work or not going to happen when it comes to this point in the season right now. So with all that being said, I think the key and the kicker right now is getting him up to speed, making sure this team is as healthy as it can be going into the playoffs, and then going from there, taking the next step. Because if they can't take the next step there, then that's going to hinder them. But they're the number 2 team. They're in a mix of about 3 teams. The Knicks and the Cavaliers are the other 2 teams in this 3-team mix, because I personally have Detroit a little bit higher or above everybody else in the Eastern Conference right now. I think Detroit's the outlier when it comes to just being the better team, the one team I think can make it. But when I say that, and let me move this head out the way because we're talking about a little bit something different. When we talk about the East, I think that the teams in the 2, 3, and 4 spots, depending on how they lay out, whether it's Boston, whether it's Cleveland, whether it's New York, whoever that 4 seed is, I think that team does have a chance to knock off the Pistons. I just think the Pistons have put themselves in a place where they're kind of staying above everybody else right now. Let's see if we can get Prey back in on a different device. Can you hear me, brother?
Yeah, I can hear you. Sorry, it's a little bit low since it's on my phone.
All right, so this is what I want to do because I don't know if we got all your thoughts on Bam. Let's run back to Bam real quick. You good on that? All right.
There we go on Bam.
All right, then let's talk about this Spurs and Celtics game. Give me what you got on that.
I mean, it was a playoff, definitely a playoff atmosphere. Um, the biggest issue in that game was Brown getting thrown out of the game.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, he had every issue to fuss. All right. He got pushed. It should have been a foul, and and it wasn't called a foul. Well, let me take it back. It's called a foul on his end, not on I believe it was on Castle's end. So
Right.
he picked up one. Right after that, couldn't stop fussing. Picked up other. It was a chippy game. It was chippy as I don't know what, but it was fun. It was really fun. This is now a 5-game winning streak by the San Antonio Spurs. Ladies and gentlemen, they for real. Okay. I'll say this. They are for real. And we already said this is going to be an interesting playoffs, and they're going to be one of the teams that's going to make this playoff interesting.
True that. True that. I mean, I think this is one of those scenarios where I think as we come down this stretch, these interconference games are going to have a lot more meaning to them because these teams they're gonna have to fight it out.
Yeah.
Playoff position. All of that's on the line. They're fighting for position within their conference, and it's so close. And I kind of separated Detroit out on the East because I think it's really between Cleveland, New York, and Boston fighting out for the 2 to 4 seeds. So I think that's the issue right there on that side of it. But other than that, I just think we're gonna have a great playoff series because these teams are so close. And we both said, I think last week or 2 weeks ago, that the top of these leagues are the separating points. Can you hear me? So just real quick, Perry, because we coming up towards the end. Any final thoughts that you got?
Boston's 2.5 games out of the top spot. The home stretch in the Eastern Conference is going to be interesting. That's all I got, bro.
All right, what's your thoughts on the West?
Still the same thing. We talked about those top 4, and it's still going to be a battle between those top 4. Still looking at the Spurs and the defending champs.
All right, so let's talk about real quick, and when you want to give me any details. I know we do the Tuesday night spotlight, but we have a couple ball games tonight. The Cavaliers and the Magic, and then you have the Rockets and the Nuggets, and then we close out tonight with the Timberwolves and the Clippers. So we've got a nice slate for the Wednesday night. Those games will probably take us through to tomorrow. I don't remember the TV schedule. I got you. TV schedule looks like the Rockets and the Nuggets are on ESPN. And the Cavs and the Magic are also on ESPN. And the Magic have 25. The Cavaliers have 22. We got about 4 minutes and 20 seconds left in the second period. With that being said, with all of our technical difficulties tonight, I know you can't hear me. It's all good. With all the technical difficulties, this is Nothing But Net. He's C. Perry II. I am the Midnight Rider. I think we do our thing called Swish, but we're out of here. Have a good night. We'll catch you next week. Now, don't forget tomorrow's the Thursday night throwdown. Saturday night we have the WrestleManiacs at 9 p.m. And then Sunday we have the Sunday Rise at 11 a.m. to start you up. With that being said, I'm the Midnight Rider. He's C. Perry II. Have a great night, and we'll talk to you later.